2011, there were about 10 million smartphones, and in 2012, that number is about to rise to about 20 million. This is very interesting, and at this point in time, I would like to have a quick poll of all the people who have joined in today, just to check what kind of devices you guys are using. So what we will do here is share with you a small poll. You will quickly answer that poll, and I will share the details of that poll for everyone. The poll is now open. Feel free to answer the questions. I will wait for a second or two. What mobile device do you own? Is it a Symbian, Android, BlackBerry, iPhone, others? We'll wait for a couple of seconds for everyone to kind of let us know what kind of devices they use, and we will share the interesting findings very soon. Okay, so here are the results. Very interestingly, we see that Symbian, that is Nokia, are 10%. Android is 43% amongst the viewers. BlackBerry, there are some 14% people on BlackBerry, and iOS about 29%. So that's interesting, very interesting, and we shall see why. And going back to the slides again. So here's something that we see, that in 2011, the total operating system share of the devices was that the Symbian or Nokia devices were 50%, and Android was about 28 to 30%. And that has significantly changed in 2012. And this is a forecast for 2012 that you can see on your screens right now. Android is actually taking up the 50% of the market now, and BlackBerry still stands at 10%, and iOS is about 3%. But Symbian is definitely losing the market share, about 23% in the smartphone segment. So as we can see that amongst our population also, there's definitely a heavy bias towards Android, which is pretty interesting. But what does that mean for email marketing? Before that, here are some more tweet-worthy stats. In 2012, 11 out of 100 mobiles sold in India will be smartphones. In 2011, it was 6. Something interesting to also know is 81% of Indian smartphone owners access email on the go. This definitely does not come as a surprise, because I think all of us here, I think in this webinar, are always checking their emails on the phones, right? What is also interesting is that the mobile opens worldwide will surpass desktop opens this year, which means that people who are viewing the viewing the emails on desktops are fewer, and the people who are viewing the, what does that mean for you as a business owner? I have had a look at a couple of the registrants in this webinar, and many of you are from the retail industry, and it's interesting to see that if you are a retail industry, a retailer, and if you are sending a direct marketing campaign, email marketing campaign, are you aware what kind of people, what devices are people using to view your emails? You can check this in client email analytics. For example, Julon.com as a platform has reports which show you on which devices your emails are getting read. More than that, I think you also can find out your website mobile visitors. Do you have a significant number of people who are coming to your website through mobile? And what percentage of users are on mobile? And how is this changing for you? So the important thing for you is to understand for your market, for your target audience, how the audience is behaving. So before I go ahead, I would again want to have a quick poll just to share with everyone so that everyone knows what kind of an audience we have in this mix today. The poll is about what kind of, whether you do email analytics checking on your website or on your mobiles. So the question is, do you check device client statistics on your website or email? This is just a quick question to understand whether people are looking at these statistics. Very interesting. We are seeing the results coming in. Wonderful. And here are the statistics that we are sharing for you. 67% of today's audience is saying that they are checking their device client statistics for either their website or email. This is fantastic, guys, which means that you all are logged in. You want to understand how mobile is going to affect your business. Next slide. Okay, so what does that mean? I'm not sure at this point in time, when you are doing the checking, what percentage of your audience is actually coming and visiting your website or looking at your emails. But you know what? Frankly speaking, doing nothing is a fine strategy. Right now, at this point in time, when the smartphone market is actually picking up in India, not optimizing your emails for mobiles may be a valid strategy. What is a better question to ask is, does it make sense for your audience, brand or business? Does it make sense for you at all at this point in time? And for that, it's quite possible that you can focus on other ways to engage your audience. If your mobile audience is small, or if you have limited resources. The reason I'm talking about limited resources is I will talk about what goes in to optimize the email for mobile. So if you have limited resources, right now you could use certain techniques to optimize your desktop email so that it can be viewed okay on the smartphones. So let us look at what you need to find out about your audience. Essentially, people scan emails. You and I know that all of us are checking emails in bed, in the bathroom, while waiting to kill time, and so on. But what is interesting to note is some of the studies say that less than 3% people open the email both on mobile and desktop. In fact, it's happened with me sometime when I read an email on my mobile, it got marked as read, and I completely missed responding to that email because in my desktop it came as a read, email was read. So typically what happens is people scan the emails on their mobiles, and the scanning period is very short. There are about 2 to 7 seconds only that you get to quickly catch the attention of the audience and find out if they are interested in the email at all. What I'm going to do is again a quick poll here where I'm going to quickly check with the audience. Do you do that as well? Do you read the email twice on mobile and your desktop? We will quickly talk about a poll and see what kind of an audience we have here. Okay, the poll is that do you read the email twice on mobile and your desktop? And let's see what the audience says today. Interesting. All right, this is a mixed bag. Okay, share the results. The results come in as almost 30%. It's equal actually. Some of you do read it both, some of you don't read it on your device and mobile. Sometimes all of you read it at both the places. So it's an even division. What does that mean? That means that at least a big chunk of you at least is reading your emails on your mobiles. And whether that is applicable to your audience, your target market, is also a big question. Some of the things that you need to keep in mind about designing emails for mobiles is this. This is a typical screen where you will have the email, you will have the subject line, you will have the from, sender, and a little grayed text. Now this grayed text is something that we call preview text or a pre-header. This pre-header is very important. It is very important real estate on your screen and on the mobile screen. You need to use it so that the person can read the subject line and actually make sense out of that pre-header text. Typically people have stuff like view this email on a browser or unsubscribe links and so on. But we have actually in Juglon created a pre-header feature wherein you can create a specific text saying that, hey, the sale ends tomorrow. So imagine you have 30 to 35 characters to talk about your subject line. You have your from address coming there in the main subject line from address, and immediately you have a preview text which talks about hey, this sale ends tomorrow. So use that pre-header, use this real estate very well. Here's something that I also wanted to share, a quick share. I think most of us are aware about this, but typical screen sizes are 320 pixels and 480 pixels for iPhone. For Android, Android has obviously various devices, but a typical size I'm taking here is about 350 to 480. An iPad, as you can see, is fairly large, 768 to 1024 pixels. What does that mean? If you were to design your email, it needs to render on your desktop and typically all these screen sizes. What are the most importantly, I would advise that you should not send out one big image in your emailer. Typically what happens is marketing managers are busy, they have the ad agency has created a beautiful campaign, the campaign comes in as a JPEG. This one whole JPEG gets cut up and put in an HTML, and that goes out as a newsletter or an email because there's some sale or sale is happening and so on. What this does is when you have a fixed width image, it will probably render well on desktops if the images are turned on, but it will definitely not be shown properly on your mobile devices, right? So try and not have full image emails is the first rule. Second rule, keep the font large, at least 14% pixel text and 22 pixel headings. Large call to action buttons. When you are looking at an email, if you want to tap it, it needs to be touch friendly. Hence, the call to action button needs to be big. Try and use minimum images. Try and use smaller images and try and use images which are of lower resolution menus. Typically, we have horizontal menus and they have a small screen size. That is a problem. To scroll. Use image alt tags. This is one key area and one key tip where if you don't have too many resources at this point in time, a simple thing to do is to have a table inside an HTML email, which is a percentage, defined as a percentage of the width. So it will automatically resize itself depending on the screen size and probably help you optimize the email somewhat for different screens. I would always advise to say have a single column for a mobile email and go on a word diet, which means that people scan emails, they don't have too much time to read the text, definitely not on their smartphones. Therefore, I would advise have single sentences, key words that you want to highlight in the email. Let's look at some of the case studies now. And what we did was we took a desktop email, viewed it on BlackBerry, Android, and iPhone. I'm going to share with you some screenshots. And I am going to now also show you when you optimize the email, how does it appear on all these devices. So here's an email that we took. This is an email sent out by MAI, our partners, the people who have helped us organize this webinar as well. They send out the week that was as a newsletter. I definitely recommend that you enroll for this newsletter because it's quite, at least for the digital marketing community, a lot of new things keep happening. So this is a newsletter. It has a logo here. It has a name of the newsletter. It has a big banner, blue banner, with a little call to action button. On the left side, you can see that there is a heading, some image and a long text, and a second column. How will this whole email be seen on different devices? So we took a BlackBerry, and this is the screenshot of a BlackBerry device. You will see that the image is crunched, it's squished. So is this banner is squished. Sometimes different devices behave differently, and therefore there is some white space that has been added here. Also note that there is a lot of text and it's not very readable. Similarly, on an Android phone, this phone particularly has only shown the left side of the email. It has not squished it, but then hardly any message is visible. On an iPhone, again like the BlackBerry, the whole email is squished to fit into the screen, and you really cannot read anything in this email, right? So we optimize this, and this is the difference. When we say optimize, what all can you do? If the email was looking like this before, we suggest that you optimize the images, which means make the images smaller, lighter, optimized enough for fitting it into the screen, Also, we introduced something called as the index. What this index does is shows you the key messages in your screen. And if you're interested in something like, say, new service tax norms effective from 1st July, if you want to read about it, you can tap on this index piece and the email automatically scrolls down, right? So this is one way of optimizing an email. Same email before, this is how it was looking on an Android device, and after you can see that it's definitely easily readable. It has the index here. Definitely on the next screen you can see that there's a heading is much larger. There is only a single sentence, so immediately you get to know which CMOs are present or what particular event this was. iPhone, this is how it appears. Again, very similar change. You can quickly see all the details, and you can also see the message very clearly, right? Oops, I'm sorry. Yes. We use a service called as Email on Acid, and we recommend that it's a very nice service which basically you can upload an HTML email and test how your email looks on various devices. So this is just a quick screenshot to show you how an email would look on Android, Gmail, BlackBerry, Kindle, iPhone, and so on. So it's like a testing service. So this is probably something that you can try on. But I want to talk about responsive email design. What is a responsive email design? How do you make all these emails fit into all these screens? And that is done by CSS3, right? So CSS3 is media queries which basically detect screen size and display specific content on different devices. Now, I am not going into detail of CSS3, but I shall definitely share with you some very fundamentals and basics about this. You will need CSS skills for this, probably in-house designer or an agency, but these skills are not really very available readily. If you ever have any need of redesigning your emails, do get in touch with us. So let me share with you what an email code looks like. Okay, this is really simple. I'm not getting into the details. This is just for an overview where you will have an HTML tag, you will have a head tag, you will have a title tag where probably the email subject can go. There'll be a style tag where your CSS3 content goes. This is the area where you will put code that will automatically resize the whole HTML for different devices. And your actual body HTML email code goes in the body of the document. So how does CSS look? Okay, what does CSS look like at all? I have taken this example from a wonderful site that I follow. It's called A List Apart. Here's a horizontal image of the website or an email where you have a photograph of Sherlock Holmes, Watson, and Mycroft Holmes. They are in a horizontal line. Now imagine that you wanted to show this whole email on a vertical Android or an iPhone device. What would you do? The media queries that you would use would look something like this. At media screen and max width 400 pixels, which basically tells the device that if your screen width is less than 400 pixels, please read this particular code. What is the code? It will talk about Holmes picture. In the Holmes picture, the margin right should be blah, 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 some value, or the width should be some another value. The Watson picture should have a margin right some value or some margins. I'm just giving you very simple examples, and width another value. But basically, this is the HTML code that tells the device what to look at and how to organize, how to display the email. The same email here appears like this on another device. The photographs are same. They're small, teeny photographs, just arranged better. This is why we say try and start using smaller images that you can turn around or move around in your device, right? Let's look at some more examples of responsive design emails. Here is a nice looking email which has got a lovely orange banner, mega deals. It has got 1, 2, 3, 4 columns. This will display beautifully on your desktop. The same email, the same HTML code. Okay, I wanted to stress something here. I'm not talking about creating different email campaigns. I'm not talking about that you have to write a separate code for different devices. The beauty of CSS3 is you have one HTML code, it automatically renders differently on different devices. So the same email looks like this on a phone, which has only 2 columns. As you can see, they look nice. The same email automatically adjusts itself. Here's another design, responsive design. Okay, if the desktop email was to be seen on a phone, it would look like this. You would have the logo, you would have the horizontal menus, you would have some heading, text, image, and a call to action button, and some more stuff down. Same email, if it is modified now, you will have only the logo showing very prominently. The menus are gone. The heading is bigger. You can see that the text is now readable. And you can also see that the call to action button is very prominent and very touch easy, right? Stunning design is this, where image here and a big header. This entire email looks like this in a phone, where the black image, as you see, is completely gone. The top images are also gone. What I would like to stress is CSS3 allows you, or this whole responsive design allows you to replace images. You can tell the device that if you are an iPhone, please show image 2. If you are a desktop, please show image 1.jpg. So entire images can be changed in this way of designing, and which is why it is called responsive, which responds to the screen. Coming to our next question, is this enough? I'm getting more towards the end of the webinar now, and is this enough for you? If I were to ask a question about you and your business, honestly, ROI is still important. There is no point spending a lot of money, a lot of designing expertise on designing emails if it's not giving you ROI. So look beyond optimizing emails. Something else to think about is, if you have a nice looking email, let's say it's a simple text email and it's click worthy, people click and come to your landing page. Is that landing page even optimized for mobile? Are the forms displaying correctly on the mobile? The whole purpose of your email is to click, and if people are slowly moving towards smartphone, shouldn't your website also be optimized for smartphones? When do you take that call, and how do you go about doing that is something that you need to keep in the back of your mind. Check your website analytics. Do you need a mobile website? Probably you need an app. So these are some of the questions that you will need to answer, and again, these will be very specific to your audience, your target audience, your business. The challenges that you may face is the mobile email right for you at all? It's quite possible that you will say, in fact, I have at various places given an example of a complete text email, beautiful text email. In fact, it's a course, internet marketing course, and they give that course over 10 emails or 10 blog posts, and they only give you short introduction text, about 8 to 9 sentences, and that those sentences come in your inbox. It is absolutely okay for them to send me text emails, and they work beautifully for me because they are quick tips, right? So it's quite possible that you don't need to go for this whole elaborate designing. Check that whether the mobile email is right for you. List segmentation. What kind of list, you need to finally go back to your CRM, understand what your audience is. How many of that audience has used a mobile to access either your email or your website? Very interesting, and I didn't have the time to update this presentation, but if you are following me on Twitter, I will retweet that link again. In fact, it's a Harvard business wherein a retailer actually took 1 lakh audience, divided 30% of the audience was sent only email, next 30% of the audience was sent only direct mailer and mail, and they actually compared what is the role of email. It's quite great. But what about the email multiplier, a TV? It's possible that the person actually talks about it, speaks to somebody, goes on the website, searches for something, and they have found that email multiplier does exist. Basically, you need to understand list segmentation. What is your list like? Are they using mobile, and whether you can do these experiments. In fact, it will be great. We can actually sit across and understand how we can do some strategic thinking for your list also. Again, digressing. Design what kind of design help do you need? Do you need to have an in-house person? Do you need to have an agency? Does the agency understand how to design emails for, not even for desktop, not even for mobile, just even for desktop? My experience has been that not many, unfortunately not many design agencies understand how to code email for desktops or mobiles. Optimizing your web pages, that's the next step, and justifying ROI. These are your challenges, and you will need them, if not today, tomorrow, and basically you will need to prepare yourself and move forward. Here are some of the resources that I talked about. This is the last slide of my presentation. After this, there will be a poll once again, but they are available on the website called as Convergence Catalyst. We have taken the data from this particular website. I highly recommend that you go to emailology.org. Don't worry, we'll be sharing this presentation with you, so you will get to know that. But any of you, if you're interested in reading about CSS, how different devices behave, how to code, if you want a template, a typical blank HTML template for email, definitely try and go to emailology.org. There I have taken one example. This is a wonderful website which talks a lot about design and how to design. It goes into the philosophy of design and all that. Amazing. I've already talked about email on Acid. This is again a beautiful service that helps you understand how your email looks on various devices. So that is about all. I think I have quickly covered. It's been around 35 minutes that I talked about this presentation. I will take questions from the audience, but before that, I just wanted to quickly check a poll on this kind of a webinar. You know, not many of us are probably conversant with this kind of audio viewing, and I just wanted to check, would you be interested if we do more of these webinars? Webinar is shared with you. The poll is shared with you, sorry. And the results are coming. But it's 100%, right? Everybody said this webinar is good. Excellent, guys. Thank you so much. So basically, this is very enthusing. This is probably the first webinar that anybody's done in email marketing in India, and I'm very proud that I am with Joulon.com and we are making some amazing new things. In fact, we were also the people who came out with the first email trends report, and that trends report is probably going to change, and we need to update that for this year as well. So we've been doing some very interesting things. We will be sharing more of such webinars talking about email, other digital marketing things as well to you. But now I will take the questions from you, and here are some of the interesting questions. So one of the questions is how email marketing can help in selling mobile content subscriptions in a typical VAS operator ecosystem. Wow, excellent. Yes, indeed. The fact that you can now show samples of the content that a person can see before subscribing is likely to improve subscriptions, So probably an SMS will fall short of convincing the recipient, but you can show samples of the content in an email. That probably could help. Okay. I'm taking one more question. Here it says, let me read it to you. Is email marketing campaign effective than SMS marketing one? I feel the latter is more compelling, which means SMS is more compelling and does not require the user to get hooked online to receive the ad. Fact is that only 10 to 15% of the total mobile base have GPRS 3G on their mobile. Okay, no matter what the nature of the business may be, do you agree with me? Is email marketing? Okay, okay. You are comparing two different things here. The way you use email and SMS marketing is different. The reason can also be different. For example, if you want to promote a mobile app, an email will be much better than SMS. You can begin the download of the mobile app directly from the email. If you want to send a discount coupon, an SMS will serve your purpose. So basically, I'm saying that SMS and email are two different channels. There's no need to pitch one against the other. They both have their benefits. SMS can be in your face and irritating at times. Understand that email is a channel where if people opt in to receive your newsletter, their involvement with your brand is very high. I have said this in the past and I'm saying this again. We have done studies for our own audience where we've compared visitors who come on our website from email, from social media, from search. The people who come from email spend 30% more time on our website. And I encourage you to go back to your analytics. It's very simple. Talk to me if you want to find out. In Google Analytics, if you're using it, it's very easy to segment your audience, quickly see what is the time people are spending on your website. At least for us, this has been very true, that email is a very good channel. So yes, SMS has its own place, and I would say no need to pitch the two together. Another question, is it the same email that is optimized and sent to desktop customer as well as the mobile? Yes, absolutely. As I said before, there is one HTML code, one HTML email that goes out. It will be interesting if you can view the same email on your mobile and at the same time look at the desktop. If it is optimized, it will appear differently on your mobile and differently on your desktop. It's the same email. You do not have to send multiple campaigns. Question. Would iPhone respond to the responsive design? Yes. Responsive design or media queries work in Nokia? No. Today there is a problem. Symbian phones do not support media queries, and therefore, but as we saw that 50% of the smartphone market is Android, and Android does support. The trend is that going forward, media queries will be supported in smartphones. Will responsive design or queries work in Nokia? Okay, we did that question. Move forward to the next question. Yes, that is very interesting. I don't know who this person is asked this question. Email supports only inline CSS. So how can I write media query tag? So this person's, whoever you are, very knowledgeable. Thank you for asking this question. It's interesting that most devices and clients show or respond to CSS if it's inline. For the rest of the audience, what basically we are saying is when you are writing an HTML tag, in that tag itself you have to specify whether the text needs to be bold or colored, right? More and more devices are supporting media queries in the head sections. Can work without inline CSS is wrong. Without inline CSS also, emails do work, and the media queries can be written in head. Yes, sometimes if the entire styles and CSS are in the head, it may not display correctly. But then there are fallback options as well. Probably that's a discussion for another session. But to answer briefly, CSS inline is not the only norm. CSS in head also works many a times. Okay, lots of people have been asking a lot of questions. I love this audience, very participating audience. We are running out of time currently, and we will answer the rest of the questions by email individually. My email is here on the screen. Do get in touch with me. Thank you very much. I hope this was helpful. This was a first attempt for us as well, and I hope it was comfortable for you. I hope my audio quality was good. I will definitely do something more webinars on this line. Thank you very much for participating. Do get in touch with us. Thanks a lot, and bye.